The 7F Fulfilment Formula. The wealth, the work and the person you become, by MK. People often look at me now and call me lucky. They see the family, the fun, the freedom, and they assume it's always been this way, confident, clear, in control. But not everyone sees that behind every strong person, there's a version of them they had to rescue. That version of me, she was 15, and she didn't want to be here anymore. I remember the day like it's tattooed on my soul. The air was heavy, the kind of grey that sits on your chest. And I thought, if this is life, I don't want it. I made a choice that day, one that nearly cost me everything. But life had other plans. Because I woke up in a hospital bed, cold, confused, no comfort, no kind words, just silence. No one said, "Thank God you're here." No one held my hand or told me it would be okay. That silence was deafening. But it also became the sound of awakening, because in that silence, I made a decision. If I'm going to live, it's going to mean something. If I'm going to stay, I'm going to make it. By 17, I was married. Soon after, I had a baby in my arms. No plan, no degree, no safety net, just survival. Survival has a funny way of teaching you about success, because when you have nothing, you learn what really matters. You learn that hunger isn't just about food, it's about fire. I didn't have qualifications, but I had questions. How do I build? How do I grow? How do I make sure my child never feels the kind of pain that I did? That's how my education began. Not in classrooms, in life. In trial and error, in courage and chaos. I learned everything from scratch. Business, finance, property, leadership. Not from privilege, but from persistence. I built from the ground up. And I fell more times than I can count, but I always rose higher. Years later, I had what most people would call it all. The properties, the cars, the thriving business, the family, the life that looked perfect on paper. Anthony Robbins said it best: success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. I was running fast, achieving more, ticking boxes, but inside I still felt unsure. And then life tested me again. My mum passed away. And while I was still grieving, my dad passed too. And with them went something I didn't even realise I was still holding on to. Hope for healing. Those complicated relationships, the things that left unsaid, they cracked me open in ways success never could. And not long after, my body joined in. A health issue forced me to stop completely. And for the first time, I couldn't outwork it, outthink it, or out-earn it. I had to face it. Everything. The truth that I'd built everything I thought I wanted, except peace. The truth that I'd mastered growth, but not grace. That I'd built success, but not fulfillment. And that's the thing about pain. It doesn't just break you, it rebuilds you. Because pain introduces you to yourself. It strips away the noise and shows you what's real. That season taught me something I'd missed all along. Real wealth isn't just what you build outside. It's how you feel inside. You can have all the money in the world, but if you're not at peace when your head hits the pillow, you're poor. And that realization, it flipped my entire life. I stopped chasing and started choosing. I stopped asking what's next and started asking what matters. And when I did that, everything changed. I rebuilt my business. I redesigned my days. I created systems, boundaries, and freedom. Now I get to work with people I love, doing work that matters, earning abundantly, and most importantly, I get to live my life on my terms. That's what I want for you, because you can have it all. Profit and peace, hustle and harmony, money and meaning. You don't have to choose. See, most people think they're chasing money. They're not. They're chasing feeling. They want what they think money will buy: freedom, pride, joy, control, security. They want to feel alive. And that's what fulfillment really is. It's being alive in your life, not just in your work. It's walking into your business, your home, your relationships, and knowing you built this from truth, not trauma. When I started sharing what I'd learned, this simple 7-step framework that had transformed my life, something incredible happened. People started rising. They started healing. They started remembering who they were before the world told them who to be, because it's never too late to start again. I've seen women walk out of toxic jobs and start empires. I've seen men reconnect with their families after years of distance. I've seen burnt out business owners reignite their spark and double their income simply by realigning their energy. And that's what today is about, realignment. This isn't just motivation. Motivation can fade. This is transformation, the kind that sticks. Because when you go on the 7F journey, you don't just make more money, you make meaning. You build wealth that you can actually... In a moment, I'm going to walk you through these steps, the 7 steps that changed my life and have changed the lives of my clients. And if you let them, they'll change yours too. But before we go there, I want you to do something. Right now, just take a breath. Let go of whatever's waiting in your inbox, the calls, the notifications. Just be here for you. Because this conversation, it's not just about getting more. It's about becoming more. And becoming more starts the moment you decide enough surviving. It's time. Now, here's where it gets exciting. Because once you understand the pattern, everything starts to make sense. Fulfillment isn't random. It's not reserved for monks or millionaires. It follows structure. 7 core shifts that once mastered change everything. These are the 7 fundamental steps. Awareness, acceptance, alignment, action, accountability, adaptation, and achievement. They're not theories. They're habits that every high performer needs to follow. Step 1, awareness. See it straight. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. Awareness is the birthplace of change. You cannot fix what you refuse to face. It's like turning the lights on in a messy room. Suddenly, you see the chaos you've been tripping over in the dark. You can't keep pretending it's not there. For me, awareness started when I realised my busyness was actually avoidance. Every overbooked diary, every late night laptop session, every I'll just do one more thing was really fear. Fear of stopping, because stopping meant feeling. So I asked my clients, where are you hiding behind productivity? Where are you mistaking motion for progress? Awareness is humbling, but it's the most empowering mirror you'll ever look into, because once you see the pattern, you can rewrite it. And that's the moment life stops happening to you and starts happening for you. Step 2, acceptance. Own your now. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. Maya Angelou. Acceptance isn't giving up, it's giving in to reality. It's saying, okay, this is where I am. Maybe I don't like it, but I own it. Because you can't heal what you still blame. You can't grow while you're pointing fingers at your past, your parents, your boss, your ex, the economy. The moment you accept that you are the common denominator, everything changes. I had to accept that the little girl who wanted approval was still running my empire. I had to accept that every yes that exhausted me wasn't my choice. It was my choice, not theirs. And that ownership, that's power. Acceptance is the point where freedom starts. Because when you own the problem, you own the possibility. Step 3, alignment. Lock into your true north. Do what you feel in your heart to be right, for you'll be criticised anyway. Eleanor Roosevelt. Alignment is where fulfillment begins to breathe. It's when your vision, your values, and your actions finally line up, like the gears in a well-oiled engine. If you've ever achieved something big and still felt flat, you weren't out of ambition, you were out of alignment. You built something impressive that didn't fit who you really are. Alignment is what makes success sustainable. It's why some people work half as hard and create twice the impact. They're not leaking energy on things that don't matter. When I started aligning my business with my values, freedom, family, and creativity, opportunities multiplied. Not because I hustled harder, but because my energy became clear. Ask yourself, where am I living someone else's dream? Where have I drifted from my own North Star? It's not just about having smart goals. It's about making sure everything you're working towards is actually what you really want. Otherwise, what's it all for? Everything in your life should be giving you peace, profit, or purpose. Step 4, action. Move or stay stuck. Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do. Bruce Lee. Nothing changes until you move. Dreams without action are hallucinations. You can visualize all day long, but if you don't put one foot in front of the other, you're just meditating on potential. And here's what I've learned. Action doesn't kill fear, it starves it. We use what I call micro moves, 15-minute bursts of focused energy that compound into momentum. Because once you start moving, clarity catches up. Everyone thinks they need motivation first. Motivation might kickstart you, but for it to have any effect, you have to move. Motivation needs motion. One client of mine was paralyzed by indecision, terrified to post her first video online. We agreed she'd just record one draft, no pressure to post. She did it. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. Within a month, she'd built a following and landed paying clients. Sometimes the hardest step isn't the big leap. It's the tiny shuffle forward that breaks inertia. Step 5, accountability. Stay exposed. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Jim Rohn. Motivation gets you started. Accountability keeps you consistent. Think about it. We track everything that matters. Revenue, analytics, fitness, even how many steps our watch says we've done. So why don't we track our happiness, our habits, our emotional performance? What gets measured grows. When I began coaching, I noticed something powerful. The clients who showed up, shared their results and stayed visible grew 10 times faster than the ones who worked on it quietly. Because accountability isn't about pressure. It's about partnership. The fact is that almost every successful person on the planet has used a coach to help get them there, from athletes to world leaders, because someone's watching your potential and refusing to let you shrink. Sometimes the most loving thing you can hear is, you said you wanted this, so why are you playing small? That's not criticism, that's care. To give you an example, I've always prided myself on being self-sufficient. But recently, my own coach pulled me up on something I didn't even know I was procrastinating. I'd convinced myself that it was a time issue that was preventing me from a task that I was struggling to get around to. But when he confronted me about it, I realised he was right. We all need someone that holds us accountable if we don't want to see our dreams slip through. Step 6, adaptation, flex without breaking. It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. Charles Darwin. Life will test your flexibility. Markets crash. Teams change. Kids grow. Technology outruns you. Adaptation is the art of staying grounded while everything around you shifts. When COVID hit, I saw two kinds of business owners, the ones who froze in fear and the ones who asked, how can I serve differently? Same storm, different sails. Adaptation isn't reactive, it's creative. It's the mindset that says, I don't control the waves, but I can learn to surf. I've had product launches fail, property deals collapse, people I trusted screwed me over. Every time, adaptation saved me, because every challenge has two sides, the problem and the possibility. And when you train yourself to see the possibility first, you become unstoppable. Step 7, achievement, live the more life. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Napoleon Hill. Achievement isn't about arrival, it's about expansion. It's not ticking boxes, it's becoming more of who you truly are. We're taught that success is somewhere out there, in the next promotion, the next milestone, the next zero in the bank. But the truth, success is the person you become on the way. Fulfillment is the moment you realize you're already living in the miracle you once prayed for. Achievement at its highest level is gratitude. It's joy without guilt, wealth with wisdom. The more life is when you make money and keep meaning. When your days feel lighter, your relationships deeper, your laughter louder. That's what we're here for. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds great, but I'm drowning in real life. And how do I actually start? I get it, because theory does not change your life. Application does. So here's what I tell every client. Pick one step, just one. Maybe it's awareness. You're finally facing the truth about what's draining you. Maybe it's action. You stop talking about the book, the business moves, and actually take that first step. Maybe it's accountability. You just stop doing it alone. Fulfillment isn't built overnight. It's built over ownership. Now, let me share a few real people whose lives shifted when they did this work. There was a single mother who came to me terrified about her future. She was struggling to pay her bills because her ex-partner was avoiding his responsibility. Sadly, even though she was doing everything right, she felt like she was failing her little boy. Through my program, she found her confidence, and now she's created a second income stream from a skill she didn't even think was valuable. Another client, a small business owner, had been thinking about expanding, but she just couldn't shake that fear. What if I fail? What if I can't handle the responsibility? We built her courage, muscle through alignment and micro moves. She took the leap, moved into larger premises, and is well on her way to doubling her income. Same person, new mindset. And then there was a man who came to me thinking he'd fallen out of love with his wife. It was really sad. He was ready to walk away. But as we peeled back the layers, we realised it wasn't his marriage that was broken. It was his fulfilment in other areas. He was bored, disconnected, ungrateful. Once he reconnected with gratitude and purpose, he fell back in love, not just with her, but with life. As you can imagine, many stories are too personal to share publicly, but what I can tell you is this. The fulfillment I get from seeing people rise is indescribable. Watching them remember who they are, that's the real reward. Because when one person heals, their family heals, their business thrives, their entire world expands. That's why this work matters. I want to remind you, this isn't about perfection. It's about progression. Some days you'll soar, some days you'll stumble, and both count as movement. When you start living by these 7 principles, something amazing happens. Your energy changes, your relationships evolve, money flows differently. You'll stop chasing validation and start creating value. You stop people pleasing and start power leading. And suddenly the life you've been imagining doesn't feel far away anymore. It feels inevitable, because it is. Now, take a second. Think about where you are right now. Which of the 7 steps do you feel calling your name? The ideal scenario is to work through them in order. But if you just wanted to focus on one for today, which would it be? Awareness, are you struggling to see what's going on? Action, do you have your goals and dreams written down, but you're just too afraid to take the leap? It could be a fear of failure, but it could also be a fear of success, because everything you've been dreaming of will most definitely mean stepping into a newer and better version of yourself. This means coming out of your comfort zone and stepping into your power. How badly do you want it? Do you want to carry on scrolling every day, looking at other people, seeing them live their best life, wishing you had the guts to be doing it too? Or do you want to be the one others are admiring? Only you can decide which path you prefer and what kind of life you want to be living. Things don't change because you will them to. They change when you... So, let's talk about the moment everything shifts. It's not when you finally buy the house. It's not when the business hits 7 or 8 figures. It's not even when everyone claps for you. The real turning point, the one that changes everything, is when you decide you're done living below your potential. That's it. No lightning bolt, no choir of angels, just a quiet, private decision that says, I want more, I deserve more, I'm ready for more. And not the kind of more that drains you, the kind that frees you. More peace, more passion, more profit, more purpose. That's the more life I talk about. I even wrote a book on that subject alone. Here's the truth. Every single person in this room or watching this recording has already proved they want more than just to survive. Some may have faced challenges many people would crumble under. You might have built, fought, endured. And now you're thinking it's time to thrive. Because what's the point of building an empire if you're too exhausted to enjoy it? What's the point of financial freedom if your heart feels trapped? What's the point of proving everyone wrong if you still don't feel right within yourself? We live in a world obsessed with the next milestone, the next goal, the next win, the next number in the bank. It's great to have goals. We should all be aiming higher. But make sure when you're ticking those boxes that there isn't a voice inside you saying something's missing. Because if there is something missing, it's you. You got lost somewhere between the hustle and the expectations. You gave your energy to everyone else, the business, the kids, the family, the world, yet you're still incomplete. But here's the good news. You can rewrite that story. Any day, any age, any chapter. Let me ask you something. If you keep doing exactly what you're doing now, in exactly the same way, where will you be in a year? 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? If you keep running on the same schedule, having the same conversations, holding the same fear, carrying the same stress, what does your life look like? Picture it. Same morning alarm, same rush, same arguments, the same pressure, the same exhaustion disguised as achievement. It's confronting, isn't it? Now flip it. What if instead you made one decision today that set everything in motion? What if just a year from now you were running your business and your life profitably, peacefully, purposefully? What if your mornings were easier, your energy higher, your relationships deeper, your health vibrant, and your mind calmer? What if you looked in the mirror and actually liked the person looking back? Not for the boxes ticked, but for the peace earned. That's what's possible. And not someday, but soon. See, I don't believe people lack potential. I believe they lack permission. Permission to dream again. Permission to rest without guilt. Permission to want more without apology. We're taught to dim down so others feel comfortable, to be grateful for enough, to hide our fire behind polite smiles. But I'm here to tell you, you were not born to be average, because if you were, you wouldn't be here. You were born to be abundant. And abundance isn't arrogance, it's authenticity. It's you living fully lit. Because when you rise, you don't take away from anyone else. You just show them what's possible. I remember one of my clients, a mother of 3, absolutely burnt out. I remember her telling me she just wanted to feel like her again. I just want to feel like me again. That's all she kept saying. We worked together for 7 weeks. By the end, she had a side business running profitably. She'd set boundaries at work, and she and her husband started having fun date nights again. She messaged me recently, and she actually said she feels like she's living, not just existing. That's fulfillment. Or even that small business owner who took the leap into a bigger space. She was terrified, but she was ready. And when she finally did it, the first thing that came into her mind was, I cannot believe I waited this long. And then the man, I will never forget this man who thought he'd fallen out of love with his wife. He thought it was over, and we discovered he wasn't bored with her, he was bored with himself. He rediscovered gratitude, shifted his focus, and rekindled not just his marriage, but his energy for life. Every story is different, but every ending's the same. Peace, purpose, power. And I know you might be thinking, okay, that's them. What about me? Here's the thing. They didn't have more talent than you. They didn't have more time, more luck, or more opportunity. Look at me. I came to this country without knowing a word of English. And I grew up in a household where women weren't allowed to use their voice. Now I speak for a living. I'm living proof that it's not all about the cards you're dealt. It's how you play the game. It all starts with one decision, one step, one move in the right direction. The choice is yours. Are you going to stay stuck, settling for less than you deserve, or are you going to step forward? One thing is certain. The moment you decide to stop settling, the moment you decide to say yes, your life will start aligning. It's like the universe says, finally, let's go. Let's be real. Money matters. It's not the goal, but it is the gateway. It gives you choice, freedom, and the power to say yes and no from a place of peace. I talk about money with no shame because I have lived both sides. I know what it's like to count coins and to pray. And I know what it's like to stand in my power, build wealth, and use it to change lives, mine and others. Money is an amplifier. It doesn't change who you are, it reveals who you are. So invest it into the right places, starting with yourself. Build with integrity. Build with joy. Build without apology. Because when you combine wealth with wisdom, you're on the way to becoming unstoppable. Now, here's the truth most people don't want to hear. You already know what to do, but knowing isn't doing. And doing alone isn't enough if it's not aligned. My 7F program bridges that gap. It takes what you know and it turns you into who you become. It's the system that changed my life. And it's the same framework I now teach entrepreneurs, professionals, and high achievers all over the world. People who already have success, but want peace. People who want to wake up and feel excited again. People like you. That's why I created something simple, a way for us to start the conversation together. It's called the 7F Discovery Call. This isn't some fluffy chat. It's a 1-hour deep dive where we explore your life, your business, and your fulfillment blueprint. Together, we'll identify what's working and what's not, the hidden blocks that are keeping you stuck, the exact areas to focus on for your next breakthrough. I'm currently offering a limited amount of entry-level sessions at just £97. And let's be honest, that is less than what most people spend on dinner and drinks that they won't even remember in the morning unless they're hungover. But this you'll remember, because this could be the day your life starts to turn. If all this call does for you is to give you clarity or peace or permission to start again, it would be worth at least 100 times that. But what if it did more? What if it became the conversation that changed everything? The worst that happens is you invest a little bit of money in yourself and you walk away with a clearer map. The best that happens is that your life, your business, your relationships, your purpose start aligning faster than you've ever imagined. You get one life, one shot to build something beautiful. You've already proved you're strong enough to survive. Now let's make you thrive. Book your discovery call through the link in my bio and let's start designing the more life you were born for. Not someday, not next year, but now. Because one day you're going to look back at this moment and realise this was the day everything began to change. The day you stopped waiting. The day you stopped apologising. The day you decided that peace and profit, love and legacy can coexist. And you'll smile, not because life's perfect, but because it's yours. You built it, you earned it, you lived it. And that's